All right, let's get into it. Today, we're diving headfirst into the strange, unsettling world of Franz Kafka. And, it's a world that might feel way more familiar than you'd think.
Seriously, have you ever had that feeling where you're just trying to do one simple thing, but you end up completely tangled in this web of bizarre, totally illogical obstacles?
Well, if you've been there, you're not alone. That feeling of frustrating, surreal powerlessness, it actually has a name, and it's a feeling that still hits home more than 100 years after the writer who defined it. Okay, so let's really break this down. The term Kafka comes from, you guessed it, Franz Kafka. His stories are just brilliant at capturing these characters who are trapped by forces they can't understand and they definitely can't defeat. We're going to explore this whole idea through a few of his shortest but most powerful pieces. So, first up, we've got this theme of the impossible journey. The idea here is that the goal is super simple. It's urgent, it's even noble, but the world itself just seems to be conspiring against you. Let's take his story, a country doctor. You've got a doctor who needs to get to a dying patient. It's 10 miles away, there's a blizzard, a totally straightforward, critical mission. His problem starts out pretty small. His horse died. Okay, a problem, but a simple one, right? Well, this is where reality just completely unravels. All of a sudden, out of an old abandoned pig pen, a strange man and two powerful horses just appear. Help has arrived. But of course, it comes at this terrible price. The man demands the doctor's servant, Rosa. Before the doctor can even process this, he's instantly whisked away. He gets to his patient, but then things get even weirder. The villagers strip him naked and lay him in bed with the patient. He's ultimately just left to wander, naked and freezing in the snow. His whole journey a complete and utter failure. So here's the crucial point. The doctor did everything right. He was ready to go, his purpose was totally clear, but the system, the actual fabric of his world, was just so illogical and so cruel that success was never even on the table. We see this theme of the impossible journey pop up again in another story, A Message from the Emperor. But this time, the obstacle isn't some surreal chaos. No, this time it's just infinite, soul-crushing bureaucracy. And what's so wild here is the contrast. I mean, look at this. On one side, you have a mission that could not be more personal or important. The dying emperor himself whispered a message meant only for you. He sends his strongest, most tireless messenger to deliver it. But on the other side, the obstacle is this completely impersonal, impossibly huge palace with endless rooms that lead to endless courtyards that lead to another palace, and so on, basically forever. And this just perfectly illustrates the futility of it all. I mean, even if the messenger, by some absolute miracle, managed to escape the palace, he'd only come face to face with the capital city itself, a place so vast and choked with its own existence that nobody gets through. That deeply personal, urgent message just gets completely swallowed by the sheer indifferent size of the system. Okay, so Kafka doesn't just write about these external journeys. He also gets into the internal absurdity of our work, of our purpose, and how that very thing can become a source of alienation. So get this. In The New Attorney, we meet Dr. Bucephalus. His new job? He's a lawyer. His old job? Oh, he was just the legendary warhorse of Alexander the Great. Yeah, a creature of literal world historical importance is now an attorney. Just think about that disconnect for a second. This is a being who saw the gates of India, who was part of this epic, world-changing history. And now, well, he's unburdened, sure, but he's also kind of reduced. He just spends his days reading old law books by a quiet lamp, completely removed from the glory and purpose that once defined his entire life. It's just this absurd, alienating transformation. And this brings us to another character with this extreme dedication from the story First Pain. He's a trapeze artist who, in his quest for absolute perfection, has literally arranged his life so that he never, ever leaves the trapeze. He eats, he sleeps, he exists entirely up there in the rafters of the theater. So his life is one of singular, absolute purpose. It's perfect. But then, one day, that perfect dedication just shatters. While on a train journey, he just starts weeping and says to his manager, "Just this one bar in my hands, how can I live that way?" The very thing that gave his life all its meaning has suddenly, with no warning, become an unbearable prison. And his solution? He demands a second trapeze. And that's really the devastating insight here, isn't it? You can do everything right. You can perfect your life, dedicate yourself completely to your purpose. But in a Kafkaesque world, that purpose can just collapse into absurdity at any moment for no logical reason at all. The first cracks have appeared, and his manager is terrified that his whole career is about to fall apart. So, why do these century-old stories still feel so incredibly relevant? I mean, tales of impossible journeys and absurd professions, why do they resonate? Well, it's because we live these moments all the time. Have you ever tried to speak to an actual human at your bank, only to get trapped in an endless phone menu? That is Kafkaesque. Ever try to cancel a subscription on a website that's clearly designed to make you give up? Yep, Kafkaesque. Sending your resume into the black hole of an online job portal, or realizing you've agreed to 50 pages of terms and conditions you'll never, ever read? It is the exact same feeling. You're a powerless individual caught in a huge, impersonal, and totally illogical system. And that really brings us right back to that message from the emperor. The messenger is never going to arrive. That crucial piece of information is never going to be delivered. All you can do is sit and wait and wonder what it might have been. It's just as perfect metaphor for our search for meaning in a world that often seems to offer absolutely none. So as you go about your day, just think about it for a second. Where do you see these absurd systems at play in your own life? And, maybe more importantly, what is the vital, unreachable message that you find yourself dreaming of by the window? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.